Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Tech and Protection. Today I'm Bancroft being joined by Jimmy and Jake.
Howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
And today we have our third round for our bum fights. And it is Mecha Frieza versus Shroom and Salsa. Now, I can't remember if we talked about it or not. Oh, sorry, before we get that, click buttons because we asked nicely. Please, thank you. All right, so I can't remember if we actually went over it or not. Jimmy, your experience with Shroom and Shosh. Wow, I cannot.
Squamish Squasha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you played it before?
I have played a good bit of Shroom and Salsa, and I absolutely love that deck.
Okay.
You'll probably see a rendition of it on the channel somewhat soon. I don't know when I decide to play that, but I've been having a lot of fun with that deck.
Jake, your experience with the deck?
I also have played a bit of Shroom and Salsa, and I also enjoy the deck. I don't think it's as oppressive as people first thought it was when they were just postulating and reading card effects, but I think it's a strong deck, and it's really fun to pilot.
Awesome. So this works out. So the reason why I'm asking this question is because we don't have James with us today. Now, granted, James hasn't been to the shop for a very long time, and this is actually his first weekend back, and he asked me in fluff, hey, I would like to try this deck out. We built a deck, and we got the duel between him and Jimmy. And for a call corrector, because we talked about this, Jimmy, you mentioned that he had a really rough hand, and that's why he charged the super combo.
Yeah, so right before he was kind of asking what the deck done, and I mean, he's doesn't get to come out to the shop a lot, and Shroom and Salsa is a very matchup knowledge based deck.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, I wasn't gonna sit here and completely roll him. So I told him like, hey, the deck wants to play a lot of stuff for free, buy skills, all that. And he was looking through his hand. He's like, okay, well, I need to get this card on my field as quickly as possible.
That's a pretty solid move.
Yeah, so he ended up charging the super combo because there was other cards in his hand that were better to play later on, just to get the Black Mass Saiyan out. Now, I do think tapping the Black Mass Saiyan there was the biggest downfall because that just became public enemy number one for me, and I had to get that off field as quickly as possible. So I just spent pretty much my whole next turn trying to get rid of that card, and was probably not the best investment for him because he did burn a super combo just to get it out there. He did get a swing off from it, and it did sort of set me back a turn. I could have U9 assembled and put a Chappelle on field, but I did not want to drop the cards off of Black Mass Saiyan, which that card just eats Mecha Frieza alive.
Yeah, that really puts a damper on your game plan.
Oh, for sure.
Shroom and Salsa likes to play cards for free, using a lot of effects with the combo factor. What about Mecha Frieza?
So, Mecha Frieza uses a lot of revolves completely around extra cards. So U9 Assemble is pretty much the main card of the deck. You want to burn U9 Assemble to you strike a life, it reduces the cost of the card, and you draw a hell of a lot of cards, and you get really powerful cards out of it, only if your energy is tapped. Which Shroom and Salsa is not a very energy dependent deck. You do get a lot of free plays and a lot of good value off of 1 to 2 energy. But in the early game, you need to burn your energy to get the cards on field so you can start cycling your engine.
Yeah, and you want to play somewhat aggressively, but not so much so that you want to turn your one drops like BNS sideways, unless, of course, you're going for the kill.
Yeah. So, again, this was his first time playing the deck, and Shroom is also being a very matchup dependent deck. He does make a lot of poor decisions due to not knowing the matchup. But this was more just to show how Mecha Frieza can put a lock on a deck, and you will see how oppressive this deck gets eventually. So right here, I'm burning a Basil swing on a 19k swing on Black Mass Saiyan just to get rid of that card, and I finally get rid of it. And that also just goes to show how good Basil is as a card. The card is absurd. So here I'm finally going to use my U9 Assemble and start establishing my lock on the field. So if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you do know that that Topo Lock is one of Fluff's favorite decks, and runs a lot of very similar cards in this particular list. Where Mecha Frieza is a very different kind of lock, in that it requires more cards in hand to set up than just having the Unison and Leader out. This deck has a lot more ways to get into a lock, which is very nice.
Do you play a full set of United Symbol out of curiosity?
I do. Because at worst, it's a draw monkey for free, pretty much, if you take a life. And in best case scenario, it's a draw 3 that puts a Chappelle on field.
Did you play against Nick by chance? Because I know we didn't play.
I did not play against Nick.
So you didn't play any hand control this weekend?
No, I did not run into any hand control at all. Which I do think, I mean, hand control is a bad matchup for every deck. Mecha Frieza, I think, can kind of hang in there with hand control for a little bit, but hand control usually just wins over because of out resourcing.
Unless, of course, you have a shit ton of Tyrant. What was those cards called, Jake? Your favorite red-blue card?
Oh,
Tyranny's
Mecha Frieza Energy Blade?
Yeah.
Oh, Tyranny's Cost. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that card. Like, I don't know what it is about that card, but I just love it so much. Like, it's not the best option in almost every scenario, but it's just so good.
All right, so here's a quick question. He just played the Skillless and then immediately played the 5-drop. Could he have swung with this 2-drop first?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why he did?
So Mecha Frieza really puts a lot of pressure on your opponent's mental state. Like, you have to sequence your plays differently than you would against any other matchup. And normally, if he would swing right here, like, that would be the play to swing the Shroom into Basil to clear up the board and then swap in. But with Chappelle on the board, if he does it that way, Jimmy's just going to tap down his energy, and he won't be able to do anything else on his turn.
Oh, yeah. I
So-
forgot about that. Yeah.
So in the early game with Shroom and Salsa, you want to be spending your energy to set up your board and set up your cycles. And right here, by not swinging, he was also able to get his Unison out. Otherwise, he would have had to choose between putting the Unison or putting the 5-drop Salsa on field. Which, yeah, you're still tapping out, but he's still pretty healthy in the life department. So he probably wasn't sweating it all that much when it comes to, relying on like maybe a sparking or just relying on super combos to survive.
Quick question. Afterwards, I wasn't sure if he was aware or not, because he awoken during battle. He comboed on the front side, awakened. Could he have comboed again to get the other effect?
I believe so, because the backside is a new card, right, Jim?
It's very similar to like Hercule and stuff like that.
Almost like turn
I have to
Han.
read the card again, but I don't think it's an active ability. I think it's on combo, like the
So
auto.
Right, but
I couldn't remember if the front, if the backside was the same. I don't have the card in front of me. I can't remember if the front side was the same as the backside. Where
that's an interesting. It's an interesting timing question, because if you awaken during the battle step, that complicates it.
Here, I'll read the card. Once per turn, if this card is in a battle, when you use a black battle card in a combo, your opponent sends one battle card from the drop area to the warp. If there are no battle cards in your opponent's drop area, draw one card. Then on the backside, if this card is in a battle, when you use a black card in combo.
Yeah.
So I think it's a auto when the card enters the combo area that's specifically black.
I'm saying, like, if he comboed with a second card, he could have done that effect again, though.
Like combo, awaken, combo again.
You could combo awaken, then combo again to get the other effect. But in that situation, I think he only comboed the salsa. I was alt tabbed, so yeah.
Now, truth be told, like we mentioned earlier, so James started coming to the store a year ago. He's good friends with Fluff, and unfortunately, COVID hit, so he had to stop coming. And so he has actually played. This has almost been almost 11 months since I think he's played. So
So just kind of reflecting on that turn beforehand. So when I activate a United symbol, that activates the leader's second auto ability. When you activate a mono yellow extra card, you get to tap down one of your opponent's battle cards. So I was able to tap down the Salsa and keep him from getting Salsa's effect, which is a very powerful effect of getting 2-dropped Demon Realm Race, which is just absurd.
Yeah, your options are really wide open. You can go get cards from as early as set 3, I think, and there's a lot of unique stuff you can do. You can get Meki Kubura Broken Seal for control play. That's really the strongest effect in the deck, is being able to go get that 2-drop Demon Realm Race.
Yeah, it is. It is really, really good, and the amount of paths you can take with Shroom and Salsa is what is really intriguing me into the deck. Because right after this match, I think he was kind of scrolling through the card list, and he's like, "Hey, I need this 2-drop Revenge Blocker Toa that you can grab." And it's like, that's something I never even thought of putting in the deck until I realized you could grab it with Salsa, and now you have a Revenge Blocker on field.
Yeah, and you get around her counterplay downside as well, where you have to warp cards from your battle area, from your drop area. Excuse me.
Course. So in this turn, I put Anguilla. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He ended up choosing 2 of his energy, which was great for me because he was probably wanting to keep that 5-drop on field, and my goal was to remove that 5-drop. So swinging with Anguilla is kind of a gamble most of the time because you have to think about what your opponent is thinking. And with a powerful effect like Salsa, he's not going to want to keep that tap down. And if he did choose to keep that tap down, I wouldn't have invested my resources into killing that card. So it's not... That's where playing Mecha Frieza gets a little difficult, because now you're choosing, okay, if they end up choosing that battle card, do I remove it now while I can, or do I just try to gamble that he's going to keep it tapped down eventually and it's never going to resolve? But he chose energy because this deck is very energy efficient, and I think you could see, I think he does build up his board a little bit on this turn just off of 2 energy, which was really impressive to me. Or it might be this turn or the next turn. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I apologize.
Yeah, Shroom, like you mentioned earlier, can really go wild with 1 or 2 energy.
So, Jake, we played in the second round. You were playing Sin Shenron.
I was.
And how did you feel about playing against the Anguilla slug package in this deck?
I was glad I was playing Sin Shenron and I could turn those skills off, let me tell you. The Anguilla is super oppressive to sit across the table from, especially when there's Chappelle's. And I mean, the whole deck is so synergistic. You know, the Basils work with the combination. You play the Great Apes, the Bardocks, like any good yellow deck would. It seems to be like this is a really rough matchup for Shroom because everything you're doing is antithetical to what that deck wants to do, whereas that deck wants to go wide. You punish your opponent for playing extra stuff. You punish your opponent for attacking with the leader first to gain information, which is what a swarm deck really wants to do. I mean, of course, you don't want to do that against yellow because of Nimbus, but we're getting away from your main question here. I think Sin Shenron was a better matchup. That match was not on camera. I did lose, but I think Sin is a much better matchup for just being able to modulate how you win the game. Because with Sin, you can just decide, I'm going to play Fu and win that way, instead of doing my leader effect, pay 6 and get 6 dragons from the drop.
Mm-hmm.
Although Shroom does have more hard removal than Sin Shenron does. So the Anguilla is not barrier, right?
It's not.
So if Shroom is established, like has pieces to swap around with before Anguilla comes down, then I don't think it's a threat to him at all. But at this stage of the game where your board is already so wide and you've already set him back so far by denying him use of his energy, I think it's really really going to be a hard grind for him to get out of this, even though your life is less.
Real quick, do you remember what was going on here?
Yeah, he misread the Mecha Gabora. And it was just a weird confusion where he read the card to me, but he misspoke, and I was like, that card is ridiculous. Why is nobody talking about this? Because he read it as you warp a battle card from your opponent's field and then get to do Mecha Gabora's effect. And I was like, holy shit, dude, what the hell is this deck? And that was just a rule resolution thing. But talk about the MVP of the deck. Poutine is absurd. So right here, he already played battle card with a skill, which was the Toa, and then he plays the Shroom and Salsa skillless right after that. And Poutine has become one of my favorite cards in the game. Like, I was not high on it at all until I saw Fluff running it, and me and him talked about it, and then I tested it a little bit, and I was like, damn, like, Poutine is really good in this meta. So if you don't know what she does, anytime your opponent plays a battle card with a skill, you get to switch it to rest mode, and the keyword is switch it to rest mode. So you see I just dropped the Bergamo. That actually plays into the deck very well, because you can switch it to rest mode, play the Bergamo, and then tap down energy or other battle cards, or even their leader card, if it's giving you any problem. Or if they activate a counter, you get to switch a card to rest mode, which I usually forget about that most of the time, and I just let it slide. But the card is so versatile, and it fits so well into the deck that it's an auto include for me when I play yellow now. Especially a deck as tap heavy as
Mecha Frieza.
Mecha Frieza.
It is good on offense and defense.
Oh yeah. Like I gotta tell you how many times I've swung in somebody like Nimbus or whatever and had a blocker on field, and I'm like, hey, tap down that blocker, and they're like, oh hell, I forgot about Poutine. I always forget about that counter.
Do you play Swift Retaliation Cooler?
I do. I played at a 1-of. And me and Fluff have also talked about that. I'm actually thinking about throwing a Crater Absorbed into the deck Mira, and an extra Champa to get off basically Mira Champa Battering, one of the dumbest combos this game has ever had. Albeit for 4 energy or 5 energy this time, but still 5 energy for a infinite double strike that's non-negatable is pretty good.
Yeah, hard to be mad at.
Yeah. So right here is when things just get brutal. Putting 3 Chappelle on field, I run 3 in the deck, and being able to hit 3 off of U9 Assemble is just ignorant. And at this point, I'm not going to let him swing with any card that's going to have any removal. Because it's just going to either come in tapped, or I'm going to tap it down with one of my other skills.
That goes back to our earlier point of like whoever's more set up has the potential to remove the other's battle cards.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a quick question: what does Shroom and Salsa have when it comes to I'm going to say aggro field, even though you're not really using it for aggro purposes?
So the 5-drop Shroom, if I'm not mistaken, on swing it KOs a card. And I believe that's if there is no cards. It warps a card as long as there's no cards in your opponent's drop area. Is that correct?
No battle cards.
No battle cards. Oh, battle cards. That's the keyword. Yeah, I was trying to remember there was a stipulation to it. That's a good way of clearing problem cards, and you get it on swing, so and you can cycle those out pretty easily. Black is good. You see Petrification is really good at negating skills, but that requires you to swing with a particular card, which would help in situations where there is big double strikers, dual attackers, stuff like that when it comes to aggro. Knowing the matchup and being able to drop a Mecha Gabora Broken Seal and just calling whatever card they're about to storm off with is also really good. Like being able to drop that and just say 2-drop Janemba and just watch the Janemba player go, well, I guess you pass turn, then I'm going to pass right back to you. I'm going to charge pass.
Yeah.
It's pretty nutty.
Yeah, and as far as aggro goes, basically plague the free skilllesses or other Demon Realm races from your Meki Kabura and your leader effect.
Mhm.
And then going into something like Fu the Dark Banisher for a really punishing like 6 or 7 attack board is a pretty common kill with this deck. Also, Shroom Salsa runs the Masked King, which is a deflect, potentially dual attack triple striker.
Mhm.
And usually Shroom in those matchups where it wants to kill with Masked King will use its battle cards to grind the game out, and then when the opponent has no resources left, come in with the king.
And you're seeing right here where Mecha Frieza just really, really puts the lock in that I was able to tap down all of his energy off of him just trying to draw a card to be able to fix an issue.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the absurdity of Mecha Frieza. And of course, I do have a crazy board state that he was not really able to deal with the current cards that he had. But this is a very good example of what Mecha Frieza can do when it's unchecked.
This is I was just thinking about this, a very tough matchup for somebody returning to the game.
Mhm.
Because Mecha Frieza punishes you for not knowing stuff, and Shroom Salsa punishes you for not knowing stuff. So basically, he's kind of in the perfect storm of, in order for me to win this matchup, I need to know what Mecha Frieza is going to do so I can call specific cards with Broken Seal and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you don't know how to navigate around those threats and how to properly pilot, Shroom can very easily clunk out, and it feels like your own deck is working against you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it took me for a second to
hear
think
you.
that there. So this is like probably the most difficult matchup that this Shroom player, I forget his name, I'm so sorry.
James.
James. We have a lot of J names, so like it gets lost in the mix. Yeah, and there's the Xeno Cell. If you notice,
this is the first time he was ever Xenocelled. So he was reading the card, and I could see him like being like, "Bro, what the hell?
Why does this card exist?" Yeah. If you notice, when Jimmy goes for the kill turn, he untaps all of his stuff very slowly and like counts and makes sure he has everything. And he did that at the beginning. You can rewind, hit like double tap for twice for 20 seconds back, and you'll see him untapping his stuff real slowly.
Jake called me out on that in our matchup, and I've been very self-conscious about how I untap energy now.
You only do it on your kill turn when you think you're gonna kill your opponent.
I've never noticed I did that until he told me, and now I cannot about it every time I untap energy in anything. And you're gonna notice me now in my matchups. Anytime that I go for a kill turn, I'm gonna be very self-conscious about how I do it.
So what you're saying is that you go for your turn, you're self-conscious, you look up like, oh crap, I'm going slow, and you see a grin appear on their face, you're like, nope, not this turn. All right. So you can use it to your advantage. You can psych your opponent out. You can be like, this is it. And you see them grin, be like, they got something for it. I'll hold off. It's okay. I got you.
Bancroft has got me like that before.
I think after Jake pointed that out and I thought more about it, I think that's due to when I play the game, I usually try to play the turn ahead.
Yep.
And that's where I end up tripping up a lot, where my opponent throws me a curveball that I was not expecting. Like I'm trying to play their turn in my head with what cards that I don't know they have. And if it goes right and it passes back to me, then I'm like, I'm already set and I know what I need to do this turn to advance the game forward and hopefully win. So that entire time that he was playing his turn, in my head, I was like, okay, like I'm gonna, get his energy tapped down. I'm going to do Mecha Frieza things, but also I need to figure out how I'm going to add up the Cell X because I have it in hand. I have 5 energy. I'm going to end the game this turn. And I mean, it's simple math. I just needed to put an extra 1-drop out there. That's why I played the 1-drop Bardock in the gate to fix the numbers. But in other matchups, that's more thought intensive on, okay, I'm not just going to put a $300 piece of cardboard on the field and win the game. I have to think more thoroughly about what I'm going to do. And I think that's where I slow down and I'm really pacing out everything in my head. But now you're going to see me. I'm going to be skyrocketing. Every single time I untap energy is going to happen in a split second. You're not even going to see my hand move because Jake made me self-conscious about it.
It's not that it's too slow. It's just different than the way you do it normally.
It's kind of like
It's kind of like a tell in poker.
I was going to go with the anime approach, like when the villain's like, "This is all mine," and they kind of take that moment of glory for themselves, and the hero's like, "Ugh, I can't do it anymore," and it's like, "That's right, bow to me now." And then Jimmy's like, when you win.
So are you saying that I'm the true anime villain of Attack on Productions?
I think you like to believe
I think
you are
so.
with all your what's a good way of putting it? With all your
I mean, I do spend a lot of time behind the scenes scheming for like stuff.
Scheming. That's the word. Thank you.
I scheme on stuff that you're never gonna see on the channel, like the rating leaders by drip challenge.
So wait,
like you're never gonna see that.
They keep coming out with more leaders. We can't finish the video.
I'm stuck in set 4 now. I don't. Harunagarn doesn't wear clothes, so I don't know. Am I supposed to like?
That's a 0. That's a 0. There's no clothes.
That's a 0. There's no.
Yeah.
I don't know, but the colors are kind of sick though.
That's not
like we're looking at like Yeezy season 3. Like it kind of looks like the shirt that 50 Cent was shot in.
All right,
so,
guys,
we're
going a little bit long. We're going to cut this, in this video because now we're just ranting about a video you're never going to see. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Hope you click those buttons. Jimmy, last words, and please do not let it be about content that they're not going to see.
Buy Dogecoin.
Hey, that could be a good advice. We don't know yet, but that could be a good advice.
Yeah, if you buy Dogecoin and prove it to me, next year when we're on the Attack on Productions yacht, you'll have a spot on it. But we're gonna make a different jacuzzi because like I don't know, you might smell bad or something.
Fair enough, Jake.
I'm sorry for dripping, but dripping's what I do. And if you want to win, you got to practice, guys.
And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. And like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.